the books I munched in June. Now, as we all know, I read 4 books in the month of June. 4 books! I reached my goal of 1 book a week. Although some books took longer than a week and some books took less than a week, but still, I read 4 books. The first book I read was a novella, and probably the reason why I managed to reach my goal of 4 books, but that was A Court of Frost and Starlight, which I was so excited to read. Of course, the novella bridging the gap between the original trilogy of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J Maas and the upcoming books by A Court of Thorns and Roses series Sarah J Maas author thing. So naturally, A Court of Frost and Starlight takes place after the events of the first 3 books in A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and it was so nice to see all the characters just living their lives, just how they're rebuilding themselves and the world after certain events happen in the books. So it was so great to see inside the world and to see inside just their everyday sort of living, but then of course there are the tensions brewing, and there's the setting the scene and the tone for the upcoming books, and there are some tensions rising between some of the characters that I just want them to like hook up and be together and happiness, and they just keep frustrating me, but like in a great, delicious, amazing sort of way. And of course we had Feyre and Rhysand back at their fun and games. So yeah, it was a great little read. I loved everything about it, and I give A Court of Frost and Starlight 5 big fat whopping stars, as I will probably give everything in this series. The next book I read was one that I'd had on my shelf for years. It is a brand new author that I haven't tried before, and I'm very glad that I finally got around to reading it, and that was Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. What led me to read this one is that I've heard, of course, such great things about it, but I also love the pirate aspect because I'm working on my book Ashes of Legends, and there are pirates in the sequel that I'm also working on, so I love to see the pirates. It's set in like different time periods, there's time travel, and of course there's romance between Etta Spencer, an ordinary New York girl from our time, and Captain Nicholas Carter, a pirate from back in the day. I think he's actually from 1776, which also gave me Outlander vibes, which I really truly enjoyed as well, so I thought, yes, this is definitely up my street, and it was. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 to 4.5 stars, and I'm really looking forward to reading the next one, Wayfarer. So Passenger follows the life of a girl that is a traveler but doesn't know she's a traveler, and by traveler I mean that she can time travel by stepping through portals into different time periods and different places in these different time periods, and basically her mother could do this all her life but kept it a secret from Etta because she didn't want Etta to get caught up in the world, because there are, you know, certain politics that, you know, you get caught up in and that become life-threatening. So she decided to keep her child away from it, but things happen. She can no longer keep Etta away from it. Etta ends up tangled up in it, and she ends up being taken away to the past and having to try and find her way back to the present and to save her mother and to solve some big mystery that has led to this whole thing happening. She is, of course, paired with the man that is sent to kidnap her and take her to the people that want her. And what starts out as him, of course, just doing his job turns into him being like, actually, damn it, she's actually very sweet and I kind of care about her. And then, you know, we have the romance, and it just gets really great from there. So I cannot wait to see how their story unfolds, what happens ultimately. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed The Passenger by Alexandra Bracken, and what I love the most about this book is her writing. I love how she paints the scene. I love the chemistry that she has between characters. I love the words she uses and just everything. It's just, yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed her writing style. So now I'm looking forward to getting the Darkest Mind series and diving in to one of her more darker, broodier books. The third book that I munched in the month of June was by an author that has recently become one of my favorites. Well, I say recently, she became one of my favorites around November last year, so a few months. She's the newest favorite author on my list, and that is V.E. Schwab, and the book that I read was A Darker Shade of Magic. This book... Sorry, my cat is attacking my camera. This book was definitely my favorite read of the month, and possibly my favorite book of many months. Even though I've read a lot of books that I have loved this year, I think that this one definitely takes the cake. I love the characters, I love the situations, and I love it all. I love it all. So needless to say, I gave A Darker Shade of Magic a whopping 5 stars. It follows the life of Kel, who is a traveler able to travel between different versions of London. There is a red London, a grey London, and a black London, and a white London. And it also follows the life of Lila, who is a thief and a charlatan who lives in grey London, and she ends up tangled up with Kel and his world of magic and mischief when she steals from him an object that she really shouldn't have taken, and he ends up going after her, but he's not the only one that's going after her for this object, and of course big madness ensues, and they end up working together together to get this object that they have found to safety before somebody else comes and they have to pay the consequences. There are so many wonderfully delightful, devious characters in this book. I love it. My precious. The fourth and final book that I read this month was one that I was super duper looking forward to reading. It has been very hyped up over the past few months, and possibly that's why I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, and that was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I gave it a 3 stars, possibly a 3.5, because I find that the ending was really good and it does create intrigue and you do want to kind of see what happens next, but unfortunately the beginning and the middle of the book, in parts of it, I felt that the character's behavior just wasn't believable to her age. I felt like she was a 17-year-old, but a very immature 17-year-old, and some of the ways she thought and some of the things she did I felt were better suited for a middle grade novel, such as if she was 12 years old. So I felt like her character was a bit inconsistent, but yet she was doing things that a young adult did, but with a middle grade mind, if that makes any sense. So I just found that I had a bit of trouble connecting to the main character in this book, which I think is what made it less enjoyable for me. But I did enjoy parts of it, and on the whole I gave it a 3 to 3.5 stars, and I can definitely see why some people absolutely love it. And that is all for the books I munched last month in June. I really had a great reading month, and I'm so excited for the books that I am reading this month, which I posted in my video last week. I will also be posting the second part of my writing journey next week, the one that I filmed a while ago, but it was just getting so long that I decided to split it into 2 parts. So next week we'll be talking more on rejection! And for those of you who don't know, I am a writer. I have self-published a young adult fantasy series called The Last Elantris, and you can find the first 4 books in the link below if you're interested in young adult fantasy. And yes, at the moment I'm trying to get another book I've written published, and so I'm filling you all in on my writing journey for those of you who don't know. And that is all for today. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye!